All right, in this section, we're going to go through the MSV. This should be the last component that you do as a teacher when your students are finished with the TRC. This does not need to be done with the student with you and present. This could be done at your own convenience. This should be done after the TRC running record is done, after the oral comprehension is complete, as well as the written component. Underneath your pie chart on your result page, you will have a blue box that says MSV. If you click that, it will take you to a page very similar to this. Kyla Cruz, our reading specialist, will go over all of the MSV and analysis that we did on each one of these errors.
So when you're analyzing and doing MSV on a particular text, the most important thing you have to remember, with most of them, you're going to read up to the error and then stop to analyze. So the first sentence says, you see light when the sun shines. You see light when you turn on the. This is where you'll stop because this is where the error was made. So you will analyze everything before this word to figure out the MSV. So when you turn on the, that was the error. So you're going to ask yourself, does this substitution make sense? Did it make sense? Absolutely. So that is why we chose M. Then you're going to ask yourself, is this substitution grammatically correct? It does sound grammatically correct. The structure is still there, so that's why we chose S. Then you ask yourself, did that substitution look like a word in the text? It did not. So that is why we did not choose the V. People, plants, and animals cannot live without light. It helps us grow up. Now, when we did this coding earlier, the word up was supposed to go after grow. So then you're going to read up to the error, which is up. It helps us grow up. Did that insertion make sense? And it did. Then you're going to ask yourself, did that insertion still have the structure? And it did. And you notice that V was not an option because the student did not use visual to make this miscue. So then we'll start here. We also get light from electric. As you notice, electric was skipped. And the reason why it was skipped is because the student did not use any of the miscues in order to attempt this word. The student did not attempt the word. It was told to them. So therefore, you cannot do a miscue analysis on that particular word. So then we read and we go to the next error, which is light bulbs. We also get light from electric lights. So then we ask ourselves, did that substitution make sense? It did. Did that substitution sound grammatically correct? We also get light from electric lights. It still does. And then we ask ourselves, did that substitution look like a word in the text? It absolutely did. So we chose all three for that miscue. And now we're going to read starting where it says page 5. Now image is the error that the student made. We're going to stop right there and only analyze the word before that, which is now. We're going to ask ourselves, did the reader make sense when he made that miscue? No. Did it sound grammatically correct? Now image. No. Was the miscue a visual? When that word was substituted, or when that word was substituted, now image, did it visually look like the word? And it did. However, the student went back and self-corrected and said imagine. So then you have to analyze the self-correction. Did the reader reconsider the meaning of the error in the text? And we said yes. Did the reader, when reconsidering the self-correction, did it reconsider the error's grammar? Yes. We did not choose V because we believe that the reader used the meaning and the structure to self-correct himself. So then now we go down to the line below it where it says imagine that. This word was omitted. So when a word is omitted, you have to go to the word after that one in this case. So imagine that the same light, the word that was omitted. So we ask ourselves, when that word was omitted, did it still make sense? Imagine the same light. Yes. Did it still have structure? Was it grammatically correct? Imagine the same. Yes. So that's why we chose M and S for that particular miscue. So then we continue to read up until the next error. Imagine the same light could be so gentle that it could open. So this is where we'll stop. So then we ask ourselves, did the substitution make sense? So gentle that it could open? Yes. Does it change the meaning of the text? Absolutely. But remember, we're only reading up to the error to look at the miscue. Then we ask ourselves, was it grammatically correct? So gentle that it could open? Yes, it sounds grammatically correct. And then we ask ourselves, does it visually look the same? So gentle that it could open? Yes, they have similar letters, so we can see that that could be a visual miscue. Now, this particular student also self-corrected this word. So what did the reader consider when correcting this word? Did the author reconsider the meaning, did the reader, reconsider the meaning of the error? Yes. Did the reader reconsider the errors? Yes. Did the reader reconsider the way the word looked? We said yes for this one because of the vowel. Not the vowels, the syllables. So then the next line says, imagine the ocean wave. So we stop right there and we ask ourselves, does this substitution make sense? It does. And then we ask ourselves, did it still have structure? Was it grammatically correct? Imagine the ocean wave. Yes. And does the substitution look like the similar word? Yes, they only left off the S. And then we continue to read on. They move up and down and they. So we ask ourselves, does this substitution make sense? It still makes sense. They move up and down and they. Is it structurally, grammatically correct? Yes. They move up and down and. Does this substitution look the same? And we said yes because of the beginning vowels.
And that's how we went through and did the MSV portion of the miscue analysis. This one took a little bit longer because we did want to show what a lot of the possible codings were and how to do that with the MSV. Sometimes when you go and do this, you may only have one or two errors, so it sometimes may not take as long.